Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. Over 40 years ago, the first Star Wars movie got into the theaters, and I was watching it when I was about 13 or something. And it was a very, very exciting movie. I still love those films. When I first watched that movie, the coolest character in the whole thing was Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford. He was cool. And now, the Han Solo movie will get into the theaters. Actually, it will premiere in Germany a day before it premieres in the US, just because in Germany all the movies will have a premiere on a Thursday. So tomorrow it's gonna start. And to celebrate the day, I wanted to make a rubber-based replica of his gun. The DL-44 blaster made by Blastech, even though that company name would be rather unfortunate for Germany. You may recall that a little while ago I made the blaster that Rey actually got from Han Solo in the later movies. I think she got it in episode 7. And it fires glow sticks. Now this glow stick that I just loaded is already burned out, but it fired pretty cool, and actually people liked it pretty much on the internet. But that of course is a little clumsy, and it is a bigger blaster. And Han Solo's real blaster in the movie is based on the famous broom-handle Mauser C96. Let me tell you a little bit about that gun first. As the name implicates, it was first brought to market in 1896 by the Mauserwerke, so it's a German gun. And it was instantly a success. They sold quite a few of those. It was originally chambered in the 7.63mm Mauser. A cartridge that's not unsimilar to the 9mm, but because of the lighter bullet, it had a lot of energy, very, very fast. Later on, they also chambered it in the 9mm, and then those versions had a big red 9 on the handle, because actually you could fire the original round in the other gun as well, but it was dangerous because it got lots of exploding barrels. The DL-44 blaster was actually heavily used by Han Solo in every episode that featured him. And of course it will also play a big part in the new Solo movie, simply because already in the trailer there's enough sequences. It even shows that the gun was probably originally given to him by his mentor, Tobias Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson. And see, he actually even kisses the gun before he throws it over to Han. Of course I also wanted to shoot glow sticks, but if I would use the full-size glow sticks, the gun would be hugely out of dimensions. I want to make the gun in exactly the right proportions, only modifying it when it's absolutely necessary for the functionality. And I found those. Those are only 38mm in length and only 4.5mm in diameter, so they're really small. They could probably shoot them out of a break barrel air gun. And they are pretty bright. I mean, look at that. If I open it and shake it a little bit, then you see that they're really glowing. I mean, it's daylight outside, and still you can see that they're glowing. Here's a non-glowing version. So, this allows me to stick to the original dimensions. So I got to work, printed out the original plan of the Mauser C96, and started the saw work. And of course I added a trigger mechanism for it. And actually the whole thing consists of 3 layers of wood and then a lot of applications. When the gun was ready for shooting, I added a slide, because I want this to be a repeating pistol with a slide action. And what I then did is I attached the scope. And then all that was missing was a proper paint job. And I painted it black, of course. But then I added some highlights in silver to give it this kind of scratched, worn appearance that the gun has in the movie. And here it is, the DL-44 blaster in the rubber version shooting cool glow sticks. Let me show you its features. Okay, as you see, I had to make a few changes to the original design. First of all, because of the cheap scope that I used for this here. Actually, I had to set back the entire scope part, but also so this is no longer centralized, but a little bit set to the back, just because here I needed the room for the rubber bands that actually push on the follower here. And also, I had to make this kind of trumpet-shaped front, this kind of funnel-shaped muzzle. I had to make this a little thinner to make room for the rubber bands. So this was necessary. Other than that, it's really the original size of the Mauser C96. It, of course, has a functional trigger. The other side has some cool applications too. And you can clearly see what I've done to make it looking a little bit worn. and you see that the edges are kind of chafed. It is a slide action pistol. Therefore, I also had to make the scope a little higher. It is actually mounted very flat on the original. I had to make it a little higher because otherwise you cannot hold onto the sled anymore. This actually cocks exactly the way how the original Mauser C96 was cocked. You simply rack the slide back and then let go. And then you can... Now, in theory, if we shoot these against something hard, as long as they're not alight, the energy should be sufficient to just break the glass that is inside of it and then mix the two liquids and then generate the glow effect. Let's see if that works. Ha! It works. It is alight. One more. And the third. Okay, my last shot. All four of them alight. It's a lot easier to find those. And I actually think they're pretty bright given the fact that it's still daylight. Oops. Now, of course, a full magazine looks really good when it's not so bright. Actually, yesterday evening, while I was having a beer in front of the TV, I shot one against our living room wall and it shattered and actually ejected all the liquid over our living room wall, and some of it got on the floor too. Shh, I hope my wife never finds out. Alright, now we're gonna try to hit the tree right in front of the shed, which is 20 meters distance. Alright, it seems like 20 meters isn't a problem for the thing. Can these do damage? Well, I don't think I would want one in my eye. Yeah, but I think officially this really is a toy, because they're lightweight and not so very fast. But let's hit that cardboard box and see what happens. Okay, there's a hole in it. It sticks. Another hole. And this one went all the way in. Very cool. And there's the one that went in. So, what do I think about the DL44 rubber-based light shooting blaster? Well, I personally always loved the gun because of the epic design, and I think that I've done a rather good job in making it. You know, actually, I showed it to someone yesterday and she said, well, this looks like it's bought in a store and it's not made from wood. Which it is, as you see, with the exception of this cheapo telescopic sight that, by the way, is no longer functional because the front lens is missing. So it looks cool. And I also love the fact that the weapon is so functional. And so reliable. This isn't a sponsored video, so Lucasfilm or Disney won't give me any money for it, and I guess YouTube won't either, because this looks like a gun and I'm sure that the video will be demonetized. But I do have a Patreon. If you like my work, maybe you can check it out and make sure that this channel still exists in the future, even without sponsors and even without any YouTube money. In any case, go watch the movie and think about my creation when you do. I hope you liked it, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye. So it was a rather hot spring in Germany this year, and the disadvantage is mosquito bites. I got them all over the place. So I've been checking out my sponsor GearBest, because I'm always on the hunt for something cool that they have. And I found that they have a mosquito trap that looks super cool. It's actually fairly inexpensive. I think it sells for just under 13 euros. It works with light and it has a built-in ventilator. It's supposed to be very quiet, and the reviews on the page are glowing. So I asked them if they are willing to send me one. And they said yes. It hasn't arrived yet. I only ordered it a day ago. And but I'm really looking forward to it. And maybe you guys want one too. Therefore, I decided to show you this little video, even though I'm not getting any money from it. Next sponsor job for GearBest is next month.